There's a time where I wanted to walk away from my business, just shut it down. I needed to answer two very important questions. If I can't answer these questions, I'm going to shut my business. Now, obviously, I'm here and my business is doing better because I was able to answer those two very important questions. And I want to share with you guys what those are. Because by sheer definition, you can choose the wrong path. You can choose the wrong business. You can choose the wrong business plan, and it will fail, right? Most businesses fail within the first, 3 years of business. And that means most people chose the wrong path or they chose the wrong business model. So it's really important to stop yourself, because YouTube is full of things that say keep pushing, keep grinding, never stop. But if you chose the wrong path, the sooner you stop, the better it is for you. So this is a very counter YouTube-like video. I'm not telling you to grind. I'm telling you to be careful and answer these two very important questions. So this is going to be unusual. And so for those that don't know, my name is Vlad. I'm a top seller on Etsy. I've also consulted and manufactured for top sellers. I was also a top feature on Upflip TV with over 1.8 million views. Now, there was a time in my life where I looked at my friends who were just doing a regular 9-to-5, and they were making more wealth building progress than I was. And what I mean by that, they were able to buy themselves a home, go to a bank and say, hey, I've worked for 5 years at this company and I'm getting paid this much. And the bank is like, oh, sweet, here's some money. And they buy a house. And then over time, they, then rent that house and get another one because they've shown good reputation, that they have consistency. And I found that regular 9-to-5 people are getting houses, where somebody like me that's running a business, I'm sometimes, especially in the early days of my business, I would put all the money into my business, and I would actually hurt my credit score because I would slack off on some payments or some FedEx payment that would be lingering. I'm like, I'll pay it later, and they would take it to collections, so my credit score would just be trash. And then if I do try to apply for a mortgage, especially in the first 2 years of my business, I don't have that much track record that in my business, my credit score sucks. So I can't really buy a home. So it really does make it more difficult, well, at least for me, it made it more difficult to really grow my wealth outside of my business. So whatever I was doing in the business had to work. It had to be so much more than what my friends were doing that it's worth the pursuit. If not, I'm wasting time and I need to stop. And that's during that same time when I had these thoughts of like, am I really doing the right thing in regards to wealth building? A lot of issues were coming up with my daughter. She's a special needs child, and I have 3 kids. One of them is on the way. My wife is a stay-at-home mom, and there's so much I need to be for my family, but at the same time, all the financial burdens on me. Not only financial burdens to keep them alive and keep them in a home that I can pay for, but also I want to grow my wealth. I want to make sure that my family is well off 20, 30 years down the road, maybe 10 years down the road. And so I need to make these decisions, and I can't give all of myself into this because my family needs me. Especially with my daughter growing up, I want her to have a good father figure that can help her to develop and to be the greatest, maybe entrepreneur. I don't know what she'll decide in her life, but I want to create an environment where even she's going to kick butt no matter where she goes. And I believe that's possible with her. These are and so a lot of difficulties started happening at that time. And I really needed to start making the correct goals. And if you're single, you're probably thinking like, this is not me. This guy clearly has a family, and family dynamics is kind of tough and tense. It's definitely not me. You have to understand that resources are always limited. And so you need to ask these questions because resources are always limited, no matter where you are. Whether you have family of 10 kids or you're just by yourself and you're going to grind till 12 p.m., you're going to have a limit, whether it's your health, whether it's the amount of time you can put into it, you're going to have a limit. The questions that I had to ask myself too, and I want to talk about them. I worked from 4 a.m. till like 7 p.m. sometimes, very commonly, and on Saturdays I'd work as well. I asked myself, can I get off at 5? And can I work till 5 and no more? Now, that's kind of like a 9-to-5 model, but I think that was a good target. And I'll tell you why putting a number on it is really important. While showing growth, right? Can I show growth despite getting off at 5, no matter what? Because acknowledging that the resources are limited, whether you're single or you got a family, resources are always limited. So I would need to get creative. And then 2 is my efforts that I'm putting in during those times of the day, are they showing results? And results are growth, right? So even though I understood that, hey, $4 or $5 an hour, You know, if you calculate how much money I made during the insane amount of hours that I worked, I understand that that might be temporary if I show growth, right? Because for now, every hour I put into it, I make $4. But in the future, every hour I put into it, I make $500. That's called growing your business, and that's called investing into your wealth. And then I'll be able to have more opportunity to invest into properties and all that stuff. Well, you know, when I do have that opportunity. Those are the two questions. And the way I answer the first one by saying, can I show growth with the limited time? The three things I needed to do, and I needed to focus, and this kind of builds up your business model, okay? I would need to get better equipment that improves the process. Because if you think about it, if I'm working, say, 10 hours, right? In the 10 hours, what kind of equipment can I get to cut that 10 hours to 9 hours, right? If I'm able to heat press instead of using a clamshell, I'm able to do a roll-to-roll heat press. That all of a sudden deletes a whole hour or two of my working day. Just getting the right equipment would just improve your process. Second thing, can I simplify the process so I can hire employees and I can outsource that and only focus on a little bit? So I'm able to cut down more time out of the day. So am I able to get better equipment to improve the process? Can I simplify the process as well as improve the process while outsourcing it to somebody? And then the last one is, can I increase cash flow or volume? Because if I increase cash flow and volume, that will obviously give me growth. So reducing the amount of time I put into a business and increasing the amount of money coming out of my business with every hour that I put into it, that's really the goal, right? So can I do those three things till 5, right? And now that was something I needed to answer. And the answer to that was absolutely yes. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. And the reason why I wanted to make sure I get off at 5, because this is something a lot of people overlook. And this is why I strongly disagree with a lot of these gurus that will tell you keep hustling, keep grinding. Now, again, I still wake up at 4 or 5 and I work till 5 and I do that every single day, but not everybody can do that. Not everybody has the health, physical health. Not everybody has the mental health. Whether you have family members that need a lot more attention, or you have maybe health issues that just don't allow you to work that far, or maybe you're a mom, or maybe you're a single mom. Your status doesn't allow you to be in that place. So that's why I strongly disagree with a lot of gurus that say that you just keep grinding, and it's just such a very plastic lifestyle. And it's appealing to YouTube, and that sparks so much growth, or so much SEO friendly content on YouTube, and you get growth. And this is the reason why, because not everybody has the resources that you might have in regards to time, health, or money. Because I have a more complicated situation at home, I want to make sure that I'm there for them. So it would be, in order for me to get off at 5, and the reason why it's so numerical is because it gives me an actual goal. It says, it puts a limit to my resources. This is how much resources I have to fulfill my growth, to allow for growth. Now, if I put more time into it, I'd get more growth. But the moment I acknowledge that there's a set limit, I can get creative, and let the creativity of me growing my business allow for more growth if I'm more creative, versus if I spend more time, I'll make more growth. Now, the reason why I get a very numerical number is because of this. A lot of times people point at homeless people and they say, why won't they just hustle hard enough? Why won't they just push forward? I used to do physical therapy. I was a physical therapy assistant, and I'd work with people that would be just massive. They're like football player size people, and they have so much muscle, so much strength and power, but they're barely walking. Why? Because their spine or their back is injured. It's broken. It's not doing well. And so all of that potential, all of that energy that they probably have is completely disarmed, because the central thing that allows them to move doesn't work. And so when I see homeless people, when I see people that are not living to the standards that we might assume on them, or that we might assume on ourselves, we got to recognize that something fundamental is not working the way it would have, that it used to work. People don't talk about mental health. They don't talk about how central that is for living a thriving life, to having the stamina and the ability to keep pushing forward. That's why not everybody can push forward. And I think it's important to recognize that. It's important to recognize the purpose of why you're doing it. Are you doing it for any specific purpose? Because the moment you lose that purpose, you lose all meaning. And it happens all the time, even in ultra wealthy people. If they lose that special person in their life, all of a sudden everything's meaningless. The reason why I get off at 5, because I want to pay attention to two very important things. I want to pay attention to my family, and I want to pay attention to the community that I'm part of. I'm part of a church community, and that helps my mental ability to focus, my spiritual stability. If I have a beautiful family I can come home to and rejuvenate, that allows me to be more focused and have the endurance to push forward, right? No matter what happens, I have a place to rejuvenate. I have a place to be reminded of things that are really important to me. And so that's why I set a 5. I said, can I get off at 5? Because I need this part of my life to keep pushing. This central thing, this spine, this brain in my life, I need that to be healthy. So it's important to take care of yourself. Wherever you are in life, it's important to take care of yourself. And so when people are saying you should keep pushing, if you're damaging the central thing in your life that allows you to be stable, allows you to be healthy, if you're breaking that, you can have all the muscles, all the strength in the world, but if the central thing that is broken, you're just not going to be able to push forward. And that's why there are wrong paths. There are wrong turns that you can make in business that will hurt the very thing that allows you to keep pushing. You don't know they are there until you lose it. Ask yourself, can you work less, or can you work at least the same amount and show growth? If you can, you have a business. You have a business that for you to invest your very valuable time, especially when you have kids, especially when people in your life are growing up. Are you able to be with them while showing growth? Limit your resources, and maybe intentionally if you're overworking, limit them and ask yourself, can I, for the limited amount of time that I have, because I'm going to be limited even if I work till 12 midnight. If I am able to grow my business in limited time, then it's a business worth investing my time and energy and money. Even though my friends and family are making more money on a 9-to-5, but I know this thing is growing and I'm able to continue to push forward. And because I answer those two questions, I was able to continue to grow my business. And here's the thing. I was suspended during Q4 of 2023, and that's not when all of this was happening. Q4 of 2023 was very difficult. Not only was it a holiday season and a lot of overhead was on my shoulders because I borrowed some money, I bought some inventory, was hoping that I'd just recuperate all the investments that I made, but everything was suspended. It was a very difficult time for business. My mother-in-law had a stroke and she had to move in with us. My daughter was having some very serious issues and we had to call 911 two times within the span of 2 weeks. And all of this happened within those 2 weeks. So it was a very difficult time in my personal life. But the reason I was able to go through it is because I made the strong commitment to that getting off at 5, because my community surrounded me. My wife and I were on the same page. My daughter knows that I care for her. I know I've given all that I can for her. And I had a plan. My business was showing growth, and it was showing growth because I had a business plan that worked. Now, it was temporarily, Etsy shop was suspended, but over time, when it opened up, I continued to grow because the business plan worked. I continued to improve the process. I continued to outsource. It had true value. The business had true value, and I was able to increase cash flow, increase volume because the business plan worked. And so once you have that, when you have difficulties in life, you're able to make it through. So make sure to answer those questions. Are you acknowledging that you have a limited time, or maybe actively limit your time? Say, I'm going to get off at 5. In my case, it was 5. While show growth in my business. If yes, that is a business worth investing. And it's a business that's going to generate much more at some point later down the road, even though right now you're making a sacrifice. And so hopefully that was useful. I think it's really important to really take care of the things that are more central and put them into actual numbers, put them in an actual business plan to make sure you take care of the things that truly matter. Until next time, you guys have a great one.